welcome to Out of the Box Radio with me, your host, Christine Blasdale. Out of the Box Radio is a weekly podcast of audible ear candy dedicated to bringing a fresh perspective on this thing that we call life. And each and every week, we're going to be diving into the topics that matter most with lively conversations on issues such as health, wellness, and transformational healing, all with the goal of creating a better world and becoming a happier human being. I will be your tour guide for this epic adventure, and each and every week, we're going to be embarking on a journey with the ultimate goal being transformation to our highest potential. And now, let's get out of the box. Hello everyone, I'm Christine Blasdale and welcome to Out of the Box Radio. I am so very happy that you tuned in today because we've got a really special show. I'm so excited. My guest today is Janie Boisclair. She is known as the Clairvoyant Gourmet. And she's a very rare 5C clairvoyant. We'll get into that a little bit. I know you're like, what? What's a 5C? We'll talk about that in a second. But she uses her psychic abilities to connect people to spirit through food. For many, many years, Janie has helped heal hearts and empower people through her spiritual guidance. And as I mentioned before, she's a very rare 5C clairvoyant healer, which means that she uses all 5 of her senses, which is sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell. And these are channels that she uses to channel to the spirit world. She assists clients by communicating with their loved ones who have passed, connecting with their angels and receiving messages from their spiritual guides. And she's worked with police departments on open cases, as well as providing life coaching sessions and helping business owners in clearing a lot of negative crap that's going on in their business and also in their homes. So I want to welcome to Out of the Box Radio my new best friend, Janie Boisclair. Janie, welcome to Out of the Box.
Thank you so much, darling. What a great intro. Appreciate that. And yes, absolutely, new best friend. Feeling the energy from you from afar. And darling, it is such a pleasure.
Oh, I like that. Well, there's no hiding. Let me tell you something. I've spoken to quite a few psychics, and there's no hiding when you're talking to a psychic. You know, you're all out there. Everything from your current situation to your past lives, everything is all out there on the table. So I'm just really, really excited. Really excited to meet you through the program, but also to get our listeners to have a better understanding of what you do and introduce them to the work that you do. Now, let's jump into this 5C clairvoyant. Can you talk about the gifts that you have? Let's go through those. What exactly is a 5C clairvoyant for our listeners to get a better understanding?
Well, I'll tell you, I was born with a variety of abilities to connect to the other side. And over the years, they've grown and grown and grown, as in I've been receiving more gifts as I've gotten older. So when I first started out, I was pretty much just having this sensation of feeling and intuition where I could sense things really strongly. And I knew when something was about to happen, or I knew when I needed to stay away from something. It was like my mother had it made because I had my own senses going on, keeping my alarms on, you know, what to do, what not to do when I was growing up. But as I got into my teen years, then I started to have clear vision, which means I started to see pictures and photographs of things that people from the other side were trying to connect to me. Or when I was hanging out with my friends, I would see things that they had experienced through pictures. So I'd see like a full-blown colored photo of, you know, somebody at a Thanksgiving dinner with grandma and see all the people sitting around the table, and I could explain it to the person I was talking to really clearly because I could see it. Then I started to receive some real strong hearing sensations where I could not only hear the clear voice of the person who was talking to me, whether it be a spiritual guide or whether it be a passed on loved one, but I could also hear things like birds and dogs barking and things from those time zones that they were trying to represent to remind the person that I was speaking to about certain things, you know, a certain animal or whatever. And in that also came taste. I would see meals and dinners and things of that nature because people on the other side generally want to remind us of great events or great times we spent together. And most of the time, there's something to do with the kitchen in that. because a lot of memories have happened around the kitchen, around the table, around a certain meal, a birthday celebration, or something of that nature. So they started to give me the clear taste. So I could literally taste the pepperoni on a certain pizza. I could taste the spaghetti sauce being made. I could taste the chocolate babka that, great grandma used to bake. And I started to really be able to taste a lot of flavors. And then with that also came smell, where I could smell flowers, or I could smell a certain bread being made, or I could smell what the air smelled like, or the fresh cut grass, or things like that. So at this point in my life, all 5 of my senses are very highly intuitive. They're very active. I can smell, see, feel, taste, hear. Body, so I can feel what people have passed away from. Like, they'll show me through sensations in my body, so I can say, oh, I realized that your grandfather died of a heart attack, or he had stomach cancer, or whatever it is. So all those sensations are on such heightened awareness that I can use all of those now to clearly be able to describe to someone whatever their loved one or their guides are wanting to say to them. And so that's what the 5 C's are. It's clairvoyant, clairaudience, clairgustance, clairsentience, and clairsent.
Wow. That's wild. So
fasten your seatbelt.
Exactly. And I mean, and for the people that you work with, I know it must be an amazing journey to, especially to be reminded of things that, they forgot. I mean, they've put that out of their mind. That might have been 20, 30, 40 years ago. And you're telling them, I'm your grandmother made this particular kind of cookie or cake, and she's, telling you that, go, you need to make that now. I mean, that must be a beautiful thing. But my interest is in what you're experiencing. So you actually can taste what the spirit, with on the other side, these wonderful loved ones are trying to convey. You can taste this stuff?
Yes, and let me tell you about a very recent experience, literally a week ago. I was on a radio show that was in Europe, and there was a gentleman that called in from London, and he was in his late 70s, and he was looking for a recipe from his great-grandmother that he remembered when he was 5 or 6 years old. The recipe was for cow spleen.
What?
Now, I had never had or heard of eating cow spleen. But the great-grandma used to do something where she'd stuff it with vegetables and put a bunch of spices on it, stick it in the oven, put cheese on it, and apparently it was quite delicious, he thought. However, while I'm giving him the recipe for, exactly how she wanted to make this, or how she used to make this, because that's what he wanted. He wanted to be able to duplicate the recipe, pass it on to his children and grandchildren. So as I'm putting these pieces together for him and giving him the instruction, this is how it goes, this is what you do next, you bake it at this, blah, 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 I start to get this taste in my mouth. And, I'm not a big fan of liver and onions and that kind of thing, but that's the closest thing I could say that it reminded me of, was that liver taste, except times 10 on the worst scale. So suddenly I find myself looking for a peppermint or a piece of gum or something to change this, what to me was a horrendous taste in my mouth of something that this guy cherished. So, obviously I couldn't say, wow, that tastes really crappy. But it was quite the experience. But yeah, it tasted really crappy. Yeah, literally. So, taste could be good, could be bad, sometimes not so great, but all the time I definitely get the taste of what either the ingredients that are raw or the finished product. And I also get the smell really strong. So when it's baked stuff, like a lot of people want their grandparents' baked recipes, or their mother, or, somebody's baked stuff. That I love, because I don't put weight on, and I get to taste every yummy little something. Yeah, so that's quite a beautiful thing. But, recently, that last week one, that was the very first time that I had gotten a taste that was like, woo, boy, I'll be glad when this one's over.
Wow. I think that's so awesome. As a Scorpio, I'm just like, oh, that's so cool. Especially since you don't get the caloric intake of those items as well.
That's the best part about it.
I'm curious too. I'm wondering if you are, because I'm not going to say anything. And just so folks know, this is the first time we've spoken. I didn't speak to you before. We didn't do a pre-interview conversation.
Right.
But just wondering if you're picking up anything, if anybody on the other side is like tapping you, or if you're getting anything, if you're getting any hits at all. And if you're not, then during the course of the interview, if you are, you can just interrupt. You can just say, hey, it's whatever. But are you picking up anything on me?
Well, I actually am. And ever since you first were introducing me, I was getting 5 female angels for you, and they're relatives, and they're 2 generations and 3 generations back. And if it's okay with you, I'm going to give you the message that I'm getting from them and the reason that I have come forward.
Yes, go right ahead.
They're wanting to share with you the strength that the female bloodline for you has carried through from generation to generation. So they're wanting you to realize that the strength that you possess and the power that you have within comes to you through your bloodline. And that each of these women has been very strong in their own right in whatever they were doing, whether they were a mother, someone who had a business, someone who worked a job, or just a really good friend. They've done everything all the way down the line with strength, dignity, and honor. And what they show me is that honesty is very strong and powerful to you. Love is very strong and powerful to you, that you're very much connected to humanity, not just, local, what's going on around you, but what's going on in the world and what's happening to people in people's lives, that you're very sensitive to that, what's happening with people. And I definitely feel like you are along the lines of anything you can do to help somebody, you're right there. Yeah. No questions asked. You need me, I'm in. And this is something that I'm getting from them, that they're going, this is the generations before you. These are our women. We're your people, and you're one of us, and you should realize that all the way down the line for generations back, this is the spirit of the women in our family.
Wow.
Very cool. That's
yes.
Very, very cool.
I got goosebumps. I got the hair sticking up on my arms and the back of my neck. So it's like a little tickle.
Excellent. Well, say thank you. Let's ask you a question about cooking. Do you cook?
You know what? I'm just by myself.
Let me answer it for you.
Yeah.
Not so much. Because I was that you wouldn't be real excited about receiving a recipe from these gals.
Nope.
But they would like to encourage you to perhaps dabble a little.
Yes.
Okay? Because I was like, yeah, she doesn't want any recipes from these guys because she's not that gal. You're not the girl that hangs out in the kitchen. No big deal. See why they chose to give you the message that they did, and not something, memory through the kitchen type thing. So obviously they're in tune to you.
Yes, they know that I'm not a cooker. But I do enjoy food. But I do.
There you go.
Yes.
And thank goodness. So you can feed your chakras and feed your body and feed your spiritual self without having to actually be the one to create those meals. Not a bad thing.
And that's where I was going. I'm looking right now. I consciously have, because in my life, in the last just a couple days probably, really become aware of this energy that is coming from food. And I know in my own life, I do that thing where, it's like, I know if I have a slice of pizza, I know I'm not going to feel good afterward. I think it's something with the gluten and my body, but I know I'm not going to feel good, but I like to push that envelope. I like to say, well, let's just see if I will feel not so good after I have that. So I've been going, back and forth with this, trying to eat a little healthy and then sliding down the other side. But I recently have just become aware of this really amazing energy source that comes from certain fruits and vegetables. Mostly right now I'm being really attracted to fruits like oranges and tangerines and dates and bananas and things like that. And I wanted to find out from you if you can tell us about this energy that comes from food and the importance of that in our lives. I know everybody has a perhaps different need, but maybe you can tap into that, because all of a sudden it's happening to me where I'm like, now I have a bowl of fruit I'm looking at and I never have that out, but I do now. So maybe you can tap into that.
Absolutely. So there's 7 chakras in your body, and a chakra is an energy system. And there are 7 energy systems. They start basically at the base of your spine, and they go to the top of your head, right down the center of your body. And what these energy systems do is they work with different organs in your body and systems, so like your blood system, your nervous system, or your kidneys, or your regulating your metabolism or your immune system and things like that. Well, each of these chakras is a different color. And they're a different color due to the energy that they work inside your body. So a good example is your root chakra is the one that starts at the very base of your spine. The root chakra is red. It has an earth energy. And so it being red and an earth energy, it responds to red foods. So if you were wanting to feed your root chakra, which is responsible for things like your reproductive organs, your kidneys, your spine, but also the ability to trust, your feeling of security, and emotional attachments as well. So chakras not only work with your body organs, but they also work with. So on a food level, if you were to feed your root chakra food in the color that the root chakra is, which is red, and you ate things like strawberries or red peppers or pomegranate or tomato or raspberries or a million red things that are out there, then you are feeding that energy source so that energy source can work better with the organs and the systems that it works with. Now you have some orange stuff and some yellow stuff. So what that tells me, the sacral chakra is just underneath your belly button, and the solar plexus is right above your belly button. Well, the sacral chakra is orange. And what it does is gives you that feeling of creativity. It helps you to go with the flow. It works with your sexual organs. And when you eat things that are orange, you basically are either boosting your creativity level at that time, like you might feel like you really are creative right now.
Oh yeah.
Or your kidneys, your gallbladder, your adrenal glands, your spleen. There's a variety of different things related to your immune system. So your body will definitely tell you what it needs.
Okay.
As in, these fruit in those colors suddenly is your body telling you, your brain telling you, hey girl, we're going through a major creativity spurt here. Eat some oranges, eat orange things, eat fruit, eat, vegetables that are orange. Now, the solar plexus, which is all yellow and above your belly button, that's for things like, it increases your feeling of wisdom and power. It works with your intestines, your pancreas, your liver, your bladder, your stomach, your upper spine, a bunch of different organs. But for you, I don't feel like it's a organ type thing while you're eating these things suddenly. I feel like it's more in the emotional realm of wisdom and power and creativity, because you're coming into a new cycle for yourself. And a lot of things are coming about in your mind that are producing new results, as in you're creating new programs, you're coming up with new ideas for a new year kind of a thing. And so by eating these yellow things, bananas and mangoes and orange things, for you, what's happening is your body is saying, hey, turn on the power, turn on the fuel. We're going to create all this really great stuff, and we're going to be self-empowered for the next duration. Now, in January, you might feel like, oh, man, I'm looking for some grapes and some eggplant and some, purple cabbage. I'm looking for other things suddenly. And that's another chakra responding. So your brain will tell you exactly what foods you should start to eat to repair or elevate certain organs and emotions in your body. So what I did I put on my website, if you go to clairvoyantgourmet.com, I put a page on there of how to feed your chakras. And what I put on there is not only what the names of the chakras are, but where they are in your body, what organs they work with, what emotions they handle, and what you can eat to feed those things. So it kind of ties the whole circle together in, if you want to feed your body to get the optimum result, not only mentally, but physically, you feed these specific chakra areas so that they boost both your emotional brain waves and your emotional stuff, as well as repairing and empowering and energizing the physical things inside of you. So it's a pretty cool system, and it's all scientific. It's not any woo-woo stuff. But it has really changed my life. And when I realized this and when I learned about this, it changed my life to help me to understand better why I was craving certain things. I suddenly started eating garlic like crazy in all my food, and I suddenly started eating coconut. I wanted coconut milk. I was trying coconut oil in cooking, and I like to cook, so I was trying all this stuff that was white. Well, what I learned was that was my crown chakra, which is on the top of your head, and that's the chakra that connects you closer to your spiritual guides and sharpens your intuition. So what was happening for me when that happened, this was a couple years ago for me, was I was starting to get sharper and sharper images, and I was getting taste more clearly. So my spiritual connection was kicking in, and it needed a boost to help me get there. It's almost like, when the rocket goes into space and they push the button for the power booster and all of a sudden they get this massive boost.
Yeah.
Well, that's what these foods do for you, for the body and the brain. So it makes sense that your body tells you to start eating certain things, because your body and your brain are connected to spirit and the universe, and all of that stuff knows what's happening with us long before our silly little human minds figure it out.
Now, what happens when your brain starts saying, hey, it's Taco Tuesday. Let's have some tacos. But after you have the tacos, you don't feel so good.
In tacos, you have lettuce, so that's feeding your heart. You have tomatoes, so that's feeding your root chakra. All of that, you don't have to eat like a health nut in order to benefit yourself.
Oh, I like you, Janie. I like you, Janie.
It's usually made of ground meal that's yellow, so that falls in the yellow category. Potato chips, potatoes are white. You can eat potato chips. You can eat salt. Salt is white. But just don't eat a whole bag and a half of them at one sitting. You know what I'm saying? Because then you're causing more issues to yourself.
Exactly.
I had someone say to me recently, I love vanilla ice cream. Are you going to tell me I can't eat it anymore? And I said to him, no, the vanilla bean is brown. And brown is a color for your throat chakra. Dark chocolate, coffee beans, vanilla beans. Eat your ice cream. Go for it. Just, don't be nutty about it. Do it in something that makes sense of a level of how much you eat.
Yeah, the brown, I do. I can definitely see that with the throat chakra, perhaps because of the work I do, speaking, using my voice. Mm-hmm. The coffee, I love that fresh first cup of coffee. I've been doing a bone broth. I've been really craving this bone broth I've been just going through this whole bone broth thing. I don't know. I just know that I feel like my joints, my skin, my hair really benefit from that particular, beverage, the bone broth. And that's brown as well.
Well, the bone is white.
Oh, the bone
is white, right?
Ah, you're right.
So if you're using bone to create any kind of a broth, then you're infusing the white energies that are working with your head and your brain to connect you to spirit and to connect you to energies, earth energies, and universal energies to help shift things in your body. So it totally makes sense that your hair would be growing better, your skin would be better, because you're talking about the chakra on the top of your head. Follow me?
Yeah.
So it completely makes sense. When you feed your chakras specifically for specific reasons, you literally remove negative energy that's contained in those chakras. And the negative energy is normally what causes sickness. So a lot of times when people have like different kinds of cancers or MS or different kinds of diseases, it's because their energy systems are clogged. And if they could understand this type of eating and this way of thinking, they would understand how they can help themselves to get out of those types of situations or never get into those types of situations. I've gone through a few trails with my own family members. My father passed away from brain cancer years ago. And when we first learned about his cancer, the instant reaction is, oh, let's put him on chemo. Let's get him medical help in a traditional way. Well, it wasn't working for him. It wasn't helping him. So my instinct said, Dad, let's try to do this by food. And he was supposed to only live for about 8 months. He ended up living for 7 years longer by switching what he was eating. And we kept feeding him all the brain stuff, all the crown chakra stuff, the third eye, which is between your eyebrows, everything that would help what was going on in his head. And it prolonged our life with him for 7 more years.
Wow.
So there's definitely something to it, and it's definitely worth looking into, and it's definitely worth trying. And what I really love people to know, you can still eat junk food. Look at how that junk food is broken down. You can still eat that stuff, but just be smart about it. Eat it in moderation, which is a normal piece of advice.
Yeah.
Take a look at what you're doing. And the other thing I learned too, which you'll love, is when you eat for your chakras, your body metabolism will kick in a different way, and you'll drop weight whether you need to or not, and your body will adjust itself based on the food you're eating. That's another really beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's really, really I think key is what you're talking about. And my question that I had, and I'm feeling like this is a question that the listeners may have as well, is when you're talking about consuming foods that will help nourish a particular chakra, the heart chakra, what color is that? It's not necessarily red, is it? What color is the heart chakra?
No, it's actually green.
Oh, okay, green.
Isn't that surprising?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what foods would be good for the heart chakra? For
the heart, you would do like maybe green apples or broccoli or kiwi or asparagus. There's literally, just so you know, when you start looking on the internet put in things like what food is green, you will be amazed that there are thousands of options in every one of these colors. And when I picked the ones that I put on my website, I picked them just to give you a variety to expand your mind to realize just how many options are in each of these colors. There's not like the 3 basic red things that you might eat, normally that of, tomatoes and peppers or whatever. There are thousands of items to eat in every one of these categories. And another thing that's really cool is you can feed every single chakra in the course of one day really easily. You put a few onions in whatever you're having for dinner, and you've worked out food for the crown chakra. You use maybe eggplant. Maybe you have a bite of an apple in the day. Maybe you eat a banana. Thing. You can have a fruit drink in the morning made of purple. There, you just worked out the yellow one. There's so many options that in a full day, a breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and a snack, you can absolutely easily hit every single chakra in your body without having to go, oh God, this is a horrendous diet I have to follow. No, just look at the colors and go by color. Oh, I'm eating something green right now. There's some lettuce on my hamburger I just got from McDonald's. Okay, follow me? So you can really feed every single part of your body with these chakras by looking at the color system. Now, how deep you want to go in how healthy you want to eat, that's totally up to you. But no matter how much you put in you of these varying colors, every little bit helps. Every little bit has a reaction. So the more of these little things you can put in, the more of these different colors you can put into your day, the more your body works to heal or energize or support the systems connected to it.
I'm wondering if this is something that I'm also picking up on is the conscious connection to the food. Now, this may sound to some people this may sound odd or unicorny, but the idea that like when I pick up an apple or an orange, and before I prepare it, before I wash it or take the peel off or cut into it, I'm finding, and it's just only just recently, because before I've just been completely not aware of it. Okay, I've just been concerned about getting it washed, getting it cut, and into my body. But now I feel like I'm feeling this connection to the orange or to the apple, where I'm actually almost thanking it before and putting my energy on the fruit or vegetable and saying kind of like, this is mine. Thank you. What is that? Because that's only recent. I don't know what that. I'm talking to my food now, Janie.
Yes, I get it.
It's just not talking back right now, but I'm talking to it.
It's really the emotional side of our brain that is connecting us to the. Well, let me say it this way. You're becoming more appreciative that you have that food available to you, and you're becoming more sensitive to what exactly the nourishment from that food is for your body, and therefore you're thankful. And those emotions are definitely generated from your body. And for you, in your particular case, your body's pretty healthy. So your brain isn't saying to you, you need to eat a lot of this because I'm depressed right now, or I'm, I'm having issues with, my bladder or whatever. So for you, because your body's healthy, you're saying, let's enjoy the emotional side that this food is offering us, because food also handles your emotions through your chakras. So it's bringing a reality to you while you're in this creative mode, while you're in this self-empowerment time of your life, which you definitely are, grateful as well. And the graciousness is coming from the appreciation that your brain is recognizing. And it's just a full circle. You're coming full circle in the energy connection to the food. So it makes complete sense for you to hold an orange in your hand and go, not only is this a beautiful color, it smells amazing, but I'm so grateful for it, and it's going to do some wonderful things inside of me. Now, let's go. Yummy, yummy. It makes complete sense. It makes complete sense. Because for you, your brain is in that space right now. Now, yes. Other people, I had a young lady say to me yesterday, she said, all of a sudden I'm eating mushrooms and I can't stand mushrooms. And she goes, all of a sudden, I look at them, I want to eat them, I feel like I should have them, I'm grateful for them. And she's like, I don't get it because I have hated mushrooms for 50 years. And I said to her, my intuition kicked in, and I said, have you been having headaches in the front of your forehead lately? And she says, yeah, I've been having headaches for the past couple of weeks. I think it's just overstressed. And I said, very likely, but that's why you've gone to mushrooms. You've gone to something white. And your brain is appreciative that not only did you recognize you needed to eat those, but you're appreciative for the gift of repairing your body while you're eating this white food, which happens to be a mushroom. And she goes, suddenly I have to have them like every day. I said, how have your headaches been since you started eating the mushrooms? And she had to think about it for a second. She said, I've been eating them for 4 days and I haven't had a headache in 4 days. I said, well, there you go.
Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
It's almost.
I love that our brains are so smart like that.
Exactly.
We just don't tap into them as much as we don't know the range of what our brains can do for us. And so this is just tapping into another side of our brain and bringing it more to the forefront where it guides us further. You make yourself aware of it. Now your brain knows that you're aware of it. Now it's going to go, hey, start eating some blueberries today. That type of thing.
It's almost like, how dogs know, like if they eat something and it's not right with them, or if their stomach's upset, they instinctively know. I mean, my dog, she's a little toy poodle and very much in the house, very much a little human, right? But if she's not feeling well, she'll instinctively know to go and find grass,
Grass. Yeah.
To find,
right.
she'll, and we don't have grass here, but she'll find the one little weed or whatever that's in the, corner, and she'll chew on that to get whatever, to expel whatever's in her tummy that's upsetting her. But she instinctively knows this. She didn't go to school for that.
Right. That's a really good analogy.
And that's like
it's basically the same way. Yeah. Now, what I find is that when people start looking into this and start, mulling this over and considering it, they become very aware very quick. As in, you'll find yourself now, especially since you and I have had this conversation today, you'll start analyzing what you're eating while you're eating it. Like, oh, this is something blue. Oh, let's see, that's my throat chakra. Okay, this is something red. Okay, that's going to help this part of me. That type thing. And it will literally shape the way you eat from here on out once you've become aware in a really good way, because not only will it boost your energy and give you just really positive vibe around you, because when you eat for your chakras, it literally blows out the negative energy from those sources in your body. But it gives you an extra boost. It gives you an extra, good feeling, and also helps different things come into you. It helps you to pull in different things to you. Like in your case, you're going through this major creativity spurt. So it's going to pull all these different ideas into you because you're working with those pieces and parts of your body by feeding them to boost that creativity. So it's really cool. You watch and see. I'm anxious to hear from you down the road when you go, Janie, you wouldn't believe what I'm eating these days.
Well, and then also being informed that I come from a long lineage of very strong women, then that just also just kind of just fuels it, because I do feel my grandmother's energy quite often. She was a very important, my father's mother,
right?
Very important person in my life.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you a really cool thing. I had a lady that called me. She was doing one of those family tree from, it's an online thing everybody goes to these days to look up their family, Ancestry.com.
Right.
Okay. And she could only go back about 3 generations past her grandmother. Okay. And she didn't know any of those people from back then, obviously, because she wasn't even born yet. So she says to me, Janie, I would really like to connect the dots and figure out who was married to who were the cousins, and who were, not just the grandparents and the aunts and uncles. I want to go deeper and I want to know more. And she had someone pop in 9 generations back and give her full detail in my language, the family. And so this lady from 9 generations back was able to fill in all the dots as to who was married to who. And as I'm going along and giving her these names, she's like, oh, well, this cousin was named after her then, and that brother was named after that uncle then. And she realized how the names had been, getting passed down over these 9 generations. But the other thing that was really cool is this lady brought in all these old recipes from back then, things that they made in Germany in the concentration camps.
Wow.
And was bringing, it was way cool. And so not only did this girl get all of the definition of who her family was down to a T, but then she talked about different events that the family would gather at. Like we gather now at Thanksgiving and Christmas. Well, they were gathering in May for a special thing. And they were making these funky little candies at that time. And so the detail of what she was coming through for this girl's family tree literally brought her back 9 generations worth of people. And then not only did she get the names and who was married to who and who was with who, but then she also got all these recipes from all these generations and real detail on exactly why they were eating those foods. And when I bring this up because they were so in tune to this chakra eating back then. They were very aware 9 generations back how eating for energy systems in your body was the way to stay healthy and live the longest, which blew me away. I'm like, wow, I thought this was more new age stuff, but no, it's generational that people have known that their brain will tell them how to eat, for their own body. And one thing that she commented to me, because I was asking this lady specifically, how come people didn't live longer then? And she said, well, it normally wasn't because of food or a lack of food. It was normally because of sickness and disease from not being able to keep the food healthy, keep things at certain temperatures and this and that.
Right.
So it was real interesting to learn that back in the day, they were totally aware of this stuff long before you and I were even, a concept.
Well, it's
pretty wild.
Yeah, and probably too because it's embedded in, and it's probably that knowledge is embedded in all of us. Just like I believe that everyone has the ability. We have psychic abilities. We have different kinds of psychic abilities, but it's been taught out of us, through religion and dogma. You're born in sin. You're nothing. You got to go to the preacher or the priest to even talk to God. You can't talk to God. You're not God. Those kind of separations. Yeah. And I think just now, a lot of people are waking up. The veils are being lifted, so to speak. So I'm hoping through programs like this too that people will take those steps and actually discover more of that intuitive ability that they have. And of course, and reaching out to you. Why don't you give out your website again for our listeners, if you don't mind, Janie?
Sure. It's the Clairvoyant Gourmet. And you can either put in the or don't put in the. You'll get there either way. But Clairvoyant Gourmet is the site. And I try to really put some really helpful information on there and not just be a site about me and what I do, but more about how you could make shifts for your life and changes for you that work really well. And I also encourage people, if they've discovered something new, let me know because I want to share it. I want to pass it along. And exactly what you're saying, enlighten people so that they can create their own idea of what they need and what is right and how they can connect and not. And I as well absolutely agree. Every single body, every single human brain is capable of connecting to the other side. Most of the time what stops us is not giving ourselves permission to do so. So I always recommend to people, be open to new things. When we were young and we had science class and they would teach us new things about this chemical or that frog or whatever, and it was new learning for us, and then we'd be like, oh, well, that's interesting. I never knew that before. Well, I hope that people will think that way in terms of connecting to the other side, eating for their chakras, feeding their energy sources, and that whole process, because it's just another thing that we learn. And when we learn things, then we react to them. When we react to them, we change the way things are going in our lives and in our bodies. And how can that ever be wrong?
Exactly. And we lay down new neural pathways as well. I think part of it too is that we have, for so many generations too, we have been taught that we are so less than. It's like
Yeah.
I tell people, well, you're intuitive and you're psychic. That gut feeling, the goosebumps that you get, and they always come back, say, who, me? No, I don't have, it's that belittling of ourselves that we're so used to, like, who am I to say that I can do that? Or like I said,
Yeah.
I think more and more people are coming to that realization, but it's with baby steps. And I think that this kind of educating people to at least start listening to their own inner wisdom is so powerful. And that's what I love about you, is that you encourage people to empower themselves. And of course, if they would like to get a recipe from the great-great-grandmother, or to hear something that's
just a bonus.
That's just a bonus. Then they can contact you and have a wonderful session. Exactly.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you something that's really beautiful when I connect to people on the other side. They, a lot of times, apologize for that inside the box thought that they've passed on to their generation.
Oh.
Because once they've crossed over,
Oh.
they understand things differently. And so that's always a beautiful little eye-opener to go, I get that you didn't realize it on Earth, but I'm really happy that you're giving your family permission to open up and explore in a new way, because a lot of times family need permission from their relatives in order to get out of the thought pattern they've been taught. So, yeah, totally a beautiful thing.
Something that I wanted to cover with you, and I think it's important because one of the reasons why I created Out of the Box Radio is to, of course, help people transform their life and to heal. And healing on a physical level, with our bodies is one thing, but also on an emotional, spiritual level, it's very important as well. And I've known so many people who have suffered as children from relatives, suffered extreme trauma. Janie, the sort of thing that, no child should ever go through, but very soul-crushing trauma, sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse.
Right.
And I'm wondering, and it sounds so, people would say, well, you just can't eat away that. You can't just have, take food to help heal that. But I do think that we can nourish our bodies with those foods. Have you worked with anyone who has suffered that type of trauma, and can you recommend some things that people can start introducing into their diet, at least to help heal some of that? I know it's a very big concept, and I'm totally wrong.
No, but it makes total sense, and I've worked with a lot of people that have gone through a lot of different types of traumas in that direction.
Okay, good. Okay.
What I really find is it's more about the heart than it is about the head.
Yes.
As in, your heart is broken as a result, and your heart pains as a result of these, horrific experiences you've had. And so when you can heal your heart, the rest seems to follow suit. So definitely, I go with the greens on a heavy level for things like that. And then I also go with the white things for the brain. Because once you get your heart to soften, whether it's through you finally being able to forgive and let go, whether it's you coming to decisions of how you're not going to let these past things stop you anymore, or from a new beautiful life. Once the heart heals and feels better, the brain recognizes that and follows suit and says, okay, we've healed ourselves now of these thoughts and these pains that we've been carrying and carrying and carrying forever. It's no longer serve us. And it's time to let this go so we can move on. So a combination of feeding for your heart and feeding for your mind absolutely will make shifts in you. And I've seen it time and time again. It allows you the strength to allow yourself to forgive. And sometimes that's a really tough thing. especially when you've gone through some of these horrific things and you're angry. And that anger stops you from wanting to let these things go and wallow in them and have your self-pity party. But once the heart feels healed, then it works with the heart. And all of a sudden, you have to be putting that trauma into a little box, putting the lid on it, and sticking that on the shelf, because it no longer serves you to swim in that swimming pool, to live in that pain. And once the heart is free, then the heart brings in new love and new life and new experiences and wants to feel really great and love again. And it does work out those old issues and moves it out of the brain. So absolutely, go with the greens and go with the whites, and know that all you have to do is be in agreement to consider letting those old thoughts go. And it doesn't mean forget them and, you're going to forget them out of your mind. You'll never think of it again. But it means don't carry it with you in your daily life so that your body can function and you can have a new breath of life.
And to nourish. And I'm getting a picture of of just like holding a child and rocking them, and going back to our little children selves and being the caring parent that perhaps should have been there, but then you taking that responsibility yourself. One of the things I have on my phone, how on your phone you have a lock screen, when you so you could put a picture on that, and I have a picture. So every time my phone rings, or I go to make a phone call, or I send an email, or anything, the face, it's a picture of me when I was about 2 years old or 3 years old, and it's baby Christine. And why I put that on there, it's not because I like to look at myself, but I do that.
You were cute.
I was cute. I was. But I do that so that every single time I pick up the phone, every single time I go to communicate with another human being, not only do I do it through her eyes, through her outlook, but it's also because she's watching. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like having a child. I don't have children myself, but it's like having a 2 or 3 year old watching your every move. So then you start using your words a little differently. You start, behaving like, well, this little child I need to make sure that they see kindness and love and acceptance. So that's why I do that, because it just helps me. It just reminds me.
That is brilliant. And I'm so glad you shared that with your listeners, because I think that is just a brilliant, brilliant idea. And something that I recommend to people also is, if you have an iPhone or an Android, you have little, iPhones have Siri that can remind you of things. Mm-hmm. And so I will say to people that are experiencing low self-esteem or things like that, tell Siri to remind you every hour on the hour that you are an amazing human being. And Siri will all of a sudden go at 9 o'clock in the morning, Janie, you are an amazing human being. I'm like, awesome. But it works. It works to shift how you feel about yourself, which also helps you to clear those old thoughts and old patterns that have been holding you back. So doing the picture thing like you're doing, that is so brilliant. Having your phone remind you because you forget to remind yourself is just an extra little bonus that you don't have to do consciously anymore. And, you get the little ding when you're in an office meeting and it's kind of heated in there, and all of a sudden it says, hey, you are an awesome person, or you have great ideas, or you love hugely, whatever the message is. It's a beautiful way to continually remind yourself what an amazing human being you are.
And we need that. We need that, because it's so evident, I'm saying, right now, the energy in this conversation is so beautiful. And the wonderful thing is that through the show, through the program, thousands and thousands of people are tapping into that. And we just want to keep reminding people, reminding listeners that this is a journey we're all going through, and we're all growing. And if you can learn one little thing from this program, it's that you are worthy of a beautiful life. You're worthy of a healthy body. You're worthy of making your dreams, come true. You're worthy of that, because we've traveled a lot. We've traveled a long way, haven't we, Janie, to get here?
We certainly have, light years.
Well, we only have a couple minutes left in the program, and I always like to leave before we end the show. I like to give my wonderful guests an opportunity to speak directly to the listeners. So if you have something that's coming up for you, or something that you would like to convey to the listeners, go right ahead. The stage is yours, as they say.
Well, you know what just came to me with full body chills, just FYI. So this is absolutely a message for your people. It's never too late to shift the things that are happening in your world, and not just in your body, but in your world. It's never too late to make fresh new beginnings and fresh new starts. And sometimes it's easier to do that by absorbing new information. So whenever you can allow your brain to explore new things that you've never considered before, you can make amazing new changes to not only your current life, but your future. And don't be afraid to redesign what your life looks like and start brand new with a brand new, fresh perspective. That was an Archangel Michael, just FYI. That's where that was coming from.
That was beautiful. Janie Boisclair, the Clairvoyant Gourmet, I want to thank you so much for being on the program today and for giving our listeners wonderful resources and sources to start this journey. So I want to thank you again so very much.
It has been an absolute pleasure. And, we're on the edge of a brand new year here. So now's a great time to make some little adjustments so you can have an awesome 2017.
That's what we want. We want an awesome 2017 and beyond. Folks, if you want to find out more information about Janie, you can go to clairvoyantgourmet.com or just look up the Clairvoyant Gourmet. You'll find resources for you, and check out her website and find out more information about this wonderful connection that we have to food and our chakras and our past and our ancestors, and maybe even book a session with her if you can. I know you're busy, Janie. I know you're incredibly busy, but I'm so excited that we had you on the program today and that you took some time out of your crazy schedule to talk to us. So thank you once again.
Such a pleasure.
And as I always say to our listeners, thank you very much for listening to this program. Make sure that you tune in next week. You can also subscribe to Out of the Box Radio on iTunes or iHeartRadio. And also, this program will be made into a YouTube video so you can easily share it with family and friends. And I want to remind you always, as we say, to think outside of the box. Until next time, bye for now.